Good evening. I'm Councilmember Maria Cabrera, Chair of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting. The meeting is now called to order. I'd like to remind folks that we are allowing public comment. However, the Zoom platform is down nationwide, so anyone wishing to make public comment would have to do so in person here in the chambers. This is the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting for April 16th, 2025. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. Councilmember Shanae Darby, Councilmember Field,
Present.
Councilmember Alexander Hackett,
Here.
Councilmember Yolanda McCoy,
Here.
Councilmember Kobe Owens,
Here.
Councilmember Christian Willauer,
Here.
President Ernest Trippy Congo. Thank you. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconds. Also, the committee members will get to speak first, and then we will call on other council members. We have 2 items on the agenda for this evening.
Please,
We're going to start with the first one.
Madam Chair.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry. I would like to recognize the other council members that are present here this evening. Council Member Xanthia Oliver,
Present.
Council Member Christopher Johnson, Council Member Letitia Bracy.
Here.
Okay, I got everybody. Thank you. Sorry about that. And Council Member Michelle Harley
Present.
and Council Member Spadola.
Present.
All right, at this time, we're going to start with the first agenda item, which is an ordinance number 25-013, an ordinance to amend Chapter 48 of the City Code to permit the cultivation, manufacturing, testing, and retail of recreational marijuana within certain commercial, manufacturing, and waterfront zoning districts. The sponsor is Council Member Johnson. At this point, we will proceed with Councilmember Johnson talking about the legislation, and then we will have a presentation by Ms. Gwen Kaminsky.
Good evening, Chairwoman.
Speak into your mic, please.
Yes. Good evening, Chairwoman.
The button.
There we go. All right. Good evening, Chairwoman. And I would like to, we'll be introducing this latest iteration of Wilmington's marijuana zoning. This has been quite a hot topic over the past few years, as this is a new industry to Delaware. I will reserve my comments till the end, and obviously after public comments. But this latest version was presented to the Planning Committee about a month and a half ago. This is through negotiation and frankly listening to the public. Both me and my colleagues going to civic association meetings, pitching the ideas and taking feedback and really working to find a map that works. So I will hand it off to Ms. Kaminsky from the Planning Department, and we can go from there.
Thank you. Ms. Kaminsky, you can proceed with the presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Gwen Kaminsky with the Planning Division. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Substitute number 1 to Ordinance 2513 addresses the location and regulation of 4 licensed non-medical recreational marijuana uses within the city. They include cultivation, product manufacturing, testing, and retail operations, consistent with the 2023 state enabling laws, House Bill number 1 and House Bill number 2, which legalized recreational marijuana for adults 21 and over and regulates the industry at the state level. And just to clarify, this legislation does not address medical marijuana dispensaries. This ordinance proposes to amend the city's zoning code to regulate and restrict these 4 types of recreational marijuana operations beyond what the state requires by identifying specific zoning districts where each type of use can operate either by right or special exception, and by establishing certain regulations for them, such as parking and buffer requirements. Next slide, please. So why are we doing this? Well, without these code amendments, the 4 license types would still be permitted either by right or as a special exception anywhere similar generic uses are permitted. For example, marijuana retail stores would be allowed anywhere retail is generally permitted, and marijuana manufacturing would be allowed where manufacturing uses are permitted. Also, by not taking any action, we miss the opportunity to require buffer zones between marijuana uses and sensitive areas like residential neighborhoods and schools, or by outright restricting them from specific zoning districts. This chart shows the zoning districts where the 4 types of uses would be permitted outright if the zoning code is not amended. Cultivation, manufacturing, and testing facilities would be permitted in M1 and M2, light manufacturing and industrial districts, and 3 waterfront districts. Cultivation and manufacturing would also be permitted in C5 heavy commercial districts, and testing facilities would be permitted in C2A as a special exception. Retail would be permitted in all commercial districts, M1 and M2 districts, and 2 waterfront districts. Retail would also be considered a special exception use in certain residential districts and the W1 industrial district. So looking at the chart, this is not where we would want retail uses in particular to locate, so it is necessary to amend the zoning code. Next slide, please. In October of 2024, the Planning Commission held 2 special meetings to address proposed marijuana regulations, both times making recommendations to City Council for consideration, but by the end of calendar year 2024, no action had been taken on the legislation. In February of 2025, City Council adopted Ordinance 25-4, which suspended the issuance of business licenses for retail marijuana stores for a period of 90 days. This, in effect, prevents the establishment of any marijuana retail use within the city during this time frame while the enabling legislation is being refined under the new administration. Next slide, please. As shown on this chart, the current proposal, supported by the Mayor's Office and recommended by the Planning Commission at their last special meeting on March 25th, recommends that all 4 types of licensed marijuana uses be permitted in 6 districts as a matter of right. C5 heavy commercial, M1 and M2 manufacturing industrial, W1 manufacturing, W2 commercial manufacturing, and W3 low-intensity manufacturing commercial recreational districts. Retail stores and product testing facilities would also be permitted as a special exception use in the W4 residential commercial district with the approval of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Neither of the 4 licensed use types would be permitted in any of the residential districts or any of the commercial districts except for C5. 300 feet buffer zones are also proposed between any of the 4 licensed marijuana uses and any residential zoning district or public and private schools servicing kindergarten through 12th grade. Next slide, please. This map illustrates where marijuana uses would be permitted to locate under the ordinance. Red areas prohibit all marijuana uses. These are largely the residential districts and most commercial districts except C5. Uses are also not permitted in open space districts. The green areas permit all 4 marijuana license types. These are the manufacturing, waterfront manufacturing, and C5 districts. And the yellow areas, which are W4 districts, allow retail and testing facilities as special exceptions with Zoning Board of Adjustment review. The map depicts the 300 feet buffer zones that would be enforced around the residential districts and schools. Where the buffers spill over into adjacent districts, you'll see a hatched red area where marijuana uses are also not permitted to locate. Next slide, please. Next, parking regulations need to be addressed. Existing parking requirements in the code already address cultivation facilities and product manufacturing facilities, as these two uses would be regulated as manufacturing uses for parking purposes. Similarly, retail marijuana stores will be treated as retail operations for parking purposes. Requirements for these uses are already provided in the code and no changes are necessary. However, because there are no comparable uses in the code under which to regulate product testing facilities, new parking regulations are necessary. Parking regulations for a new category called laboratory research and testing facilities are proposed for the districts where this use is permitted. Next slide, please. Next, the zoning code is being amended to include the state's marijuana industry definitions under section 48-2, which are currently provided in House Bill number 2 for consistency. And finally, the code must be amended to address business licenses. The 4 types of licensed marijuana facilities will be required to obtain a business license to operate in the city of Wilmington. These procedures are spelled out in Chapter 5 of the City Code. Next slide, please. In summary, this latest effort to regulate marijuana includes the following measures. Any marijuana use must maintain 300 feet buffer from residential districts and schools K through 12th grade. No marijuana uses are permitted in any residential or commercial district except C5. Marijuana uses are only permitted where they are explicitly identified rather than as a generic use. All marijuana uses must obtain a city business license to operate in the city. Parking measures are established for testing facilities. State definitions related to the marijuana industry are included in the zoning code for consistency, and marijuana consumption is not permitted in public spaces, including parks or in vehicles. Next slide, please. The ordinance under consideration was introduced on April 3rd for first and second reading and incorporates the recommendations of the Planning Commission. It proposes to amend the zoning code to regulate recreational marijuana uses in line with the 2023 state enabling laws. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Councilman Johnson, I don't know if you want to add anything to it or if you want to wait for the council members that have any questions.
I will wait for council members to have any questions.
Thank you. Anyone from the committee first? Councilman Hackett?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a quick question on, just as on regards to the map. There's areas that are just white. What does that mean?
Those are the open space districts, which don't typically allow development. So instead of coloring them red, we just left them white because no uses would be permitted in the open space.
Got you, thank you. Is there any way that we can get this red, though, just for sake of clarity for the public, you know, so
Sure.
that they understand?
So you want an updated map to show that the open spaces are colored red?
Yeah, because I guess for my thing, if I'm looking at it, I would probably say, hey, listen, maybe there is permitted, it's just white. You know, it doesn't have anything on the legend.
Well, they wouldn't be able to develop under the zoning code because
Gotcha.
most, you know, the open space doesn't allow much development. But I see your point and I can have that
Thank you.
prepared.
Councilmember Owen?
Yes, just for a point of clarity, by open space, you mean parks, correct?
Parks,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
Councilmember Spadola?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if my question is for the planning department or the sponsor. We might be looking at the wrong map. There's an inconsistency. If you look at the key, right above where it says March 2025, there's no mention of C5 under the proposed zoning ordinance, yet here it's mentioned as being permitted. And I also don't recall C5 being included as a permissible area. So I'm just, can anyone provide any clarity on when C5 got in there and how we have the wrong map?
When this proposal went to the Planning Commission in March, you'll notice that that resolution has been revised, so it's revised Resolution 325. The C5 districts were included as a permitted use, permitted zone for the 4 uses.
Thank you, but I just, everybody should know on your map, it states, it does not say that C5 would be a permitted zone.
Well, they are permitted zones, and that's why the C5 areas are colored green.
Councilman, we can have the legend updated
Okay,
to reflect the C5 accurately.
thank you.
And if I may, I wanted to just add that to
Councilman
C5.
Johnson, yeah.
Yes, may I be recognized? The C5 is the heavy commercial industrial. So this would be your storage warehouses, auto paint body shops. We have energy substations there. So you're talking about large commercial spaces. So that's why I believe the Planning Commission was in support of keeping that. This would be consistent with that use. You could put a manufacturing or cultivation site there, and it would not be anywhere near neighbors or disturb, the rest of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Councilmember McCoy?
Yes, so I was taking a look at the map, and I do recognize where areas are green closest to my district. It's just that it's, it's kind of crowded, and I've actually had my laptop, and I have blown this thing up as large as I possibly can, and I can't even really recognize where my district boundaries are. It's so much overlay on this map, and so I just wanted to make certain that I was be able to be clear to my constituents exactly where things lie, especially in the area, because I do have a green on the edges of my district. I'm not certain whether or not that is my district or is that Councilman Harley's district. So if somebody can give me clarity.
Yeah, I'm having the same struggle. And then you have the area that is the 300 feet buffer. So I really can't even see the name of the street or the block or where that is. So I guess maybe we might just need a map that's a little bit more zoomed in, maybe less detail with all the streets. We probably don't need as much of what's on the red, and then maybe have the other areas blown up in a way that it would be easy to just.
Would you like the councilmanic districts overlaid, the outlines?
I
Is
think that
what
would be
you're
good,
asking?
yeah. I think the council members would probably appreciate that. Councilmember Harley.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My question to Gwen is that when individuals submit applications for W-4 with permission, at what point in time will the residents be notified that application has been submitted? Will it be the same process as it is today if someone submits an application to the zoning board, or will it be some other process?
Applications for special exception uses to the zoning board will follow the standard zoning board procedures, which is to notify property owners in the area.
Follow up, Madam Chair. Okay, today is supposed to be within a certain proximity. Can you speak to that? Is the proximity going to be the same?
It will be the same as it is today.
Okay, all right, because as you can see, the majority of the permitted areas are in the 4th District, so the waterfront areas. So I just want to make sure, because I have received a number of questions in terms of the process once I had shared with a number of residents that live, of course, on Justice in terms of the process and when they will be notified. So thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Wellauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a question about the buffers. Do the buffers, is there a way that you can request permission within the buffers, or the buffers are just absolute?
That's not an option, no. They're prohibited.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, that's all.
Councilmember Hackett.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to make a quick suggestion for the councilmatic districts, just making sure if we could have like bold black lines and then the number, outlining them, just so,
Sure.
people can see. That's it.
Are there any other questions from the council members? Councilmember McCoy?
Okay, I just have one more question. Because you've outlined the open spaces in white and they're blank. Thank you. I know that some people may see that different, but I was fine with that. The other thing is, I actually have something that is considered an open space now, but I don't see that it's actually on here. So we created a skate park, and I don't see it, but that's not, it's right on my border. So I felt like if I seen where that was, I would know exactly where in the green part I was looking at, and I can see my border. I don't see where that is on this map. So I was just trying to figure out, is that considered an open space at all?
It depends on the zoning. A skate park wouldn't necessarily need to be zoned open space. You know, if it were in a district that permitted such a facility, and I believe it is, so it would not be a white space because development is allowed per that zoning code district.
Yeah, we're going to look into that section. Are there any other council members that have questions before I open it up to any members of the public that may be here and present? Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment or have a question? If you could come up and state your name right up to the microphone, make sure you speak into the microphone. State your name, your district, and right in here, right there. There you go. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Hempel, and I'm here on behalf of the 40 Acre Civic Association. We support this proposed ordinance because it accomplishes what we and many community members have long asked for, which is to keep the marijuana retail establishments out of our residential neighborhoods. Many neighborhoods are already disproportionately impacted by the presence of liquor stores, and we do not want to see a repeat of that pattern with the marijuana. This ordinance represents a thoughtful and balanced compromise. While it allows for regulated access to marijuana retail in the appropriate zones, it also protects the integrity and well-being of our residential areas. We strongly urge the committee to pass this ordinance as written. We believe it is the best possible compromise at this point, and we also believe that it reflects the values and concerns of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hempel. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? Not hearing on it, we can proceed and take a vote and vote this out of committee, and it would go before the city council for a full vote. At this time, can I get a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just a comment, if I could.
yes, proceed, Mr. Councilman Spadola, and then Mr. Johnson, if you have any comments to make before we go to the vote.
Thank you. Overall, I think this is where we should have started last year. I think it's restrictive enough where the many residents who are outraged at the possibility of a dispensary coming into their neighborhood, this will prevent that. But it also gives some access, and it gives the opportunity for dispensaries to prove themselves as good neighbors. And, like I said last year, we can always loosen the restrictions as circumstances allow. So this is a much better proposal. We should have gotten this done cleanly last year, as it has been done so far this year. But we are where we are, and I'm looking forward to supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Spadola. Councilmember Johnson, do you have any final comments?
Yeah, just to reiterate, and for those who are watching, I know many wanted to participate on Zoom and weren't able to tonight due to the technology. But this is, I think, broad support throughout the city, this compromise. This is what, we all are entrusted to do, compromise. Certainly, if you ask me personally, I would like it more expansive, but as a legislator, I think this is a good first step. It allows this industry to get set up in the city, and I think we'll show that the industry is well regulated. It's going to be a benefit to neighborhoods. The owners are well-resourced and going to be actually bringing a lot to the city. So we're looking forward to seeing this set up and show that Wilmington is the place where you want to set a business up.
Councilmember Oliver, comments before we go to the vote?
Just like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay. All right, so only the members, reminder of the committee, can make the motion and can vote on this. Can I get a motion to...
Motion to release?
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved in second for the ordinance to be voted on by committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The second item is a resolution urging the Delaware General Assembly to enact legislation that will amend Title II Municipalities, Chapter 9 Municipal User Tax of the Delaware Code to enable the City of Wilmington to impose a local excise tax of up to 3% on the sale of marijuana and marijuana products by a retail marijuana store located within the boundaries of the city, in addition to any amounts imposed by the state. The council member who is sponsoring this is Councilmember Johnson. If you would speak to this, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. This has been a work in progress. Part of the feedback that we received, I would like to especially thank my colleague, Councilman Spadola, who has aptly brought this up, is that the city did not get a direct share of this industry. And this is a billion-dollar industry, and, Wilmington, we should be getting our share. And so, often I think as legislators, we look at ways to spend money. We have to look at ways to bring money into the city coffers. So this is a way we can bring additional revenue into the city, sort of similar to a cigarette tax that the state has. So it'll just come directly to the product. And, this has been kicked to the industry, to the cannabis industry, and they're in support of this. So when I heard, residents want this, legislators want it, and the industry actually supports this because, again, they're good stewards. This is a win-win. I just hope our colleagues in Dover will see it the same way, that, Wilmington being the biggest city in the state, other municipalities, sure, they may say they should do it, but, Wilmington's got to begin first. We've spent a lot of time and resources into making a thoughtful process, whereas other cities are excluding the industry altogether. So I feel like we should be, we should get some benefit directly. And there is the Social Reinvestment Fund, which they have as part of the state overall fund. Certainly some of that will benefit Wilmington, but we should have a direct tax to Wilmington as, we've talked about our budget hearing from Chairwoman Harley, is that the city revenue picture is guarded. So we got to look at ways to bring revenue in, and this is a way to do it. So I hope this has support of everyone, and we can get this moving down in Dover and pass it this session.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. I would like to add that actually, I do want to be added as a co-sponsor, and I agree that if we were to directly get some benefit, it would be beneficial to our residents, to our community. It could be invested in programs for our youth, prevention, et cetera. And yes, we do know that there is a social benefit, but there is no guarantee of how much or what will be placed into the city of Wilmington, where we, suffer with the most levels of poverty and challenges, and coming up with a compromise to allow some marijuana, cannabis to be within our city limits. We should definitely get something out of that. Councilmember Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I wanted to thank Councilmember Johnson for sponsoring this legislation. We had a brief conversation about it in terms of what the spirit behind it, and since we definitely are going to have these retail businesses that Wilmington definitely, should be able to benefit from some of these tax dollars, and especially as it relates to the climate that we are in right now, having the conversation with the mayor, going down to Dover, we definitely need more revenue here in the city of Wilmington. As we all know, we don't have the opportunity or the autonomy to annex right now. So this definitely could be an opportunity for us to generate more revenue. And having said that, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hackett, and then Councilmember Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to say, Councilman Johnson, thank you so much for bringing it to the attention. I also just want to state that I think as a council, we got to look at things maybe a little bit different. We've been sending resolutions down to the General Assembly, not sure if they're seeing them properly. We are the biggest city in the state, and I think we do need some force down there. So I think our chief of staff talked about us having a lobbyist and doing things the right way. So honestly, my opinion, I think we as a whole should hold off on a lot of things we send down to Dover and properly build our foundation the proper way before we do, because we're constantly sending things down, and you, as you know, if you continue to do the same thing, get the same results, we're looking for different results here and trying to get some things done. So, yeah.
I will add that Dover has made it clear that instead of sending all these resolutions, we should be picking up the phone
Yeah.
and talking to the representatives, and it does not hurt to take a drive down there when they're in session and to also advocate for the things that we want that would get better attention or show up to the committee meetings versus just sending resolutions. So maybe something we could consider in carpool and do that more often. Councilmember Owens and then Councilmember McCoy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I want to say thank you to Councilman Johnson for bringing this forward. Like it's been said multiple times, we need new revenue sources here in the city of Wilmington. I also want to say that I hope that if we are able to get this, the money can be used towards some of our more pressing priorities. And for me, I've seen in other places how they've been able to use sales taxes from marijuana to help address the housing crisis that they're dealing with. And I would hope that we would want to do the same here in Wilmington. With that being said, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Councilmember McCoy and then Councilmember Hartley.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment. I really appreciate the members of the Delaware General Assembly, making comments and making us aware that we can contact them. But at the same time, they need to be aware that we do not have self-autonomy on a lot of things, and we need to actually send information so that we can actually govern our own city. So please add me as a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Councilmember Hartley.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Now, to my understanding, I thought that we were supposed to have been packaging our resolutions that we are sending to Dover. I was not aware that we're sending them down singularly. I thought we were supposed to be doing that, sending them all at one time. So
I'm not sure of the process, but some of them are time sensitive, so they get sent down as we pass them, I believe. I don't think that we do hold them.
wow. Thank you.
Councilmember Spadola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Please add me as a co-sponsor. I think this resolution is already in a better spot than it was last year when we sent it down, because you've seen there's state legislators, they're currently looking at legislation to restrict the power of the counties to how they can regulate the industry because they viewed them as too restrictive. So what I hope the state sees is that with a little incentive, counties and municipalities might be more willing to take a risk if there was an immediate direct benefit. I can tell you that, I remember speaking with civic associations when we were taking this around last year. This came from them. Well, what's the city? What's the benefit to the city if we do let dispensaries in, if we do let cultivation in? So I think this is something that, it makes too much sense. And, for the average resident who might be on the fence about the industry, if it's going to make them feel better, if the city's at least, if it's helping their tax burden, that's a win-win.
Thank you. Don't disagree with that comment at all. At this point, council members have made their comments. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to make a comment on this particular resolution? Not seeing any, being that this is a resolution, we do not need to vote it out of committee, but it will go before council. That is all the business that we have for the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
May I get a second? Oh, you guys want to stay? Okay, there we go. It has been properly been moved and second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, and thank you for those who were able to join us for this meeting. We do apologize, but we had nothing to do with Zoom being out nationwide, and we hope that the members of the public can join us at the next meeting, either in person or here in chambers. Please make sure to stay tuned to the budget hearings that will continue through the remaining month of April on Mondays and Wednesdays. They start promptly at 4:30 p.m. right here in chambers, and we welcome your feedback. Thank you so much for joining us.